There's something strange about being human. We want clarity, even when life doesn't offer any. We want closure, even when nothing's truly finished. And we want answers, even when the questions themselves don't fully make sense. That tension between wanting to know and needing to accept is what quietly wears people down. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that understanding everything is the key to peace. But the truth is, constantly trying to solve life is the very thing that makes it feel chaotic. That constant mental calculation, it doesn't bring peace, it brings pressure. We've all felt it. The urge to overanalyze a moment, replay a conversation, decode someone's silence, or predict the outcome of something we can't control. It's like the brain is addicted to meaning, always hunting for a label, a reason, a story. But here's the secret most people never learn. You're not supposed to understand everything. Not because you're not smart enough, but because some things aren't designed to be understood, only lived through. And when you finally stop trying to mentally solve your life like a puzzle, something shifts. You stop gripping so tightly. You start noticing what's here. And strangely, life starts speaking to you in different ways, not through logic, but through rhythm, through subtle timing, through energy. You stop trying to interpret every detail and start experiencing reality more directly. And that changes everything. You realize peace isn't about having all the answers. It's about being okay in the moments when you don't. That's where true power is. The ability to be here, even when here makes no sense. But let's be honest, not understanding things makes us uncomfortable. It makes us itch, especially in a world that's always yelling, figure it out, and take control of your life. We've been trained to believe that uncertainty equals failure, that if you don't have a 5-year plan, a roadmap, and a backup roadmap, something's wrong with you. But here's the thing. Have you ever noticed how life doesn't care about your perfect plan? You say, all right, I'll wake up early tomorrow and finally get my life together. Life goes cute. Here's a surprise phone call, a broken appliance, and a random emotional breakdown from a childhood wound you thought you healed 3 years ago. And it's funny, in a way, because the more you try to script everything, the more life improvises. It's like trying to play chess against the wind. You can make your moves, but the board keeps flipping. But maybe that's not a flaw. Maybe that's how it's supposed to be. Because when you loosen your grip and stop treating uncertainty like an enemy, it softens. The unknown stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a blank canvas. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start to ask, what could this moment be trying to show me? That's the difference. People who cling to understanding, they suffer twice. First, from the thing itself, and second, from trying to dissect it like a science project. But people who learn to stay present in the mess, they suffer less. They still feel the pain, the confusion, the doubt, but they don't fight it with more noise. They breathe, they pause, and somehow they walk through it lighter. It's like being in fog. Most people squint, stress, and try to see their way out. But the wise ones, they slow down and listen instead. They stop panicking because they know fog isn't permanent, and not every path needs a spotlight. Sometimes just putting one foot forward without needing clarity is what reveals the next part of the road. It's not lazy, it's not giving up. It's learning to trust the deeper intelligence of life, the part that doesn't speak in words. And the wild part? Even when we do get answers, we still don't feel better. Ever notice that? You overthink a situation for hours, maybe days. You analyze every word someone said. You ask 5 friends, read 3 psychology articles, and maybe even pull a tarot card or 2, just to finally land on some kind of explanation. And for what? 5 minutes of relief, followed by a brand new question. It's like mental whack-a-mole. You knock one down, another one pops up. The mind doesn't want peace, it wants control. But control and peace are not the same thing. Peace shows up when you realize you never needed all the answers in the first place. You just needed to feel safe without them. And that's what no one tells you. It's not the clarity you're chasing, it's the safety behind it. The emotional safety of knowing, of predicting, of preparing. Because if you don't understand something, your brain tells you you're not ready for it. And if you're not ready, then you're exposed, vulnerable, unarmed. But here's the truth. You're not a machine. You don't need a complete database of information to function. You just need to respond to what's actually here. Think about it. When you walk into a room, do you need to understand the entire architectural history of the building before you sit down? Number. You just check if the chair is there, you sit, and that's enough. Life is more like that chair than you think. You don't have to understand every beam and bolt holding your life together. You just need to feel the seat beneath you and trust it can carry your weight. Some of the best decisions you'll ever make will be made without perfect understanding, and some of the worst decisions come from thinking you figured everything out. Funny how that works. Real wisdom isn't about having more knowledge. It's about knowing which questions don't need answers right now. So next time your brain spirals into 1,000 what-ifs, try something radical. Say, I don't know. And that's okay. Say it out loud if you have to. Let your nervous system hear it. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath return to your body. Because that one sentence, I don't know, and that's okay, it's not weakness, it's freedom. It's the kind of strength most people never learn because they're too busy pretending to have it all figured out. But here's where it gets tricky. We don't just want to understand life, we want to understand ourselves too. And that's where things get really noisy. You sit down to reflect. 5 minutes in, and suddenly you're diagnosing yourself with every label under the sun. Maybe I have abandonment issues. Maybe I self-sabotage. Maybe I'm just broken. No, you're not. You're just trying to map the unexplainable using a language that wasn't made for it. You're a living, breathing contradiction, a walking paradox. One day you're calm and centered. The next, you're arguing with a stranger in your head for something they didn't even say. And that's normal. Not every mood needs a backstory. Not every emotion needs a diagnosis. Sometimes you're just tired. Sometimes you're overwhelmed. And sometimes you just need a snack. But the more we try to pin ourselves down, to understand every shift in our feelings, every awkward thought, every little moment of doubt, the more we start shrinking ourselves into definitions. And that's the irony. The more you try to understand who you are, the less space you give yourself to just be. Real growth doesn't come from perfect understanding. It comes from allowing. Think of a child learning to walk. They don't need to understand the physics of balance or the muscular dynamics of movement. They just wobble, fall, get back up, and somehow they figure it out. Not because they understand it, but because they trust the process. They trust the learning. They trust the stumble. And you're not much different. You're just stumbling through more complex terrain. Relationships, career, identity, healing, all of it. But the principle's the same. You're not here to master life like a math equation. You're here to participate in it. And honestly, some of the most profound moments in life come after you stop trying to make sense of everything. The late night walk where something clicks. The silent car ride that unexpectedly calms you. The random conversation that shifts your perspective. None of those were planned. None of them came from understanding. They just showed up because you were finally quiet enough to receive them. So maybe the path isn't figure it out. Maybe it's show up, stay open, and see what happens. Because you're not a code to be cracked. You're a mystery to be lived. And the sooner you stop interrogating yourself like a suspect in your own life, the sooner things start feeling lighter, freer, and strangely, more clear. Now let's talk about the itch, that restless inner need to make sense of it all. It's sneaky. It doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just whispers, "This shouldn't be happening." Or, "Why do I feel this way?" or the classic, "There must be a deeper meaning here." And yeah, sometimes there is, but a lot of the time, you're just tired, and your brain wants to create a plot twist. You're trying to extract enlightenment from a bad Tuesday. Not everything is a spiritual lesson. Sometimes life just drops a mess at your feet with no explanation, like a cat bringing you a dead bird. And your job isn't to analyze the feathers. Your job is to breathe, clean it up, and keep moving. We've grown up in a culture that romanticizes overthinking, that glorifies self-analysis. You scroll through content that tells you how to be more in tune, more aware, more intentional. But at a certain point, that awareness becomes a trap. You stop living and start monitoring yourself 24/7 like a security camera. You walk into a room and instantly start questioning your energy, your posture, your tone, your vibe. Did I come off too closed off? Was I too intense? Was I too quiet? Should I have smiled more? Man, you're not an Instagram algorithm. You're a human being. Let people interpret you however they want. You're not here to be fully understood by everyone. In fact, some people will misunderstand you on purpose because it makes their worldview more comfortable. Let them. Your peace can't depend on being decoded correctly. That's a prison, not freedom. When you finally stop obsessing over how you're being perceived or what everything means, you get to reclaim your space. You move with less friction. You speak without rehearsing. You feel without apologizing. And life starts feeling less like a constant performance and more like an honest experience. Because let's be real, you'll never have a complete understanding of why things happen the way they do. Some connections will end without closure. Some doors will open with no explanation. Some emotions will hit you out of nowhere like a song from your childhood, and none of it has to be solved. Sometimes life gives you silence, not because you're missing something, but because not everything requires a response. Some chapters aren't meant to be analyzed. They're meant to be lived through, felt, and eventually released, without turning them into a lifelong puzzle. And that's okay, because the goal isn't to master existence. The goal is to feel it fully, without needing to translate it into a quote every 5 seconds. Just let it be. Let you be. Here's a wild truth most people quietly figure out, usually after some heartbreak, some loss, or a long season of confusion. You don't grow by understanding life. You grow by surviving it. Not every storm teaches you a lesson in the moment. Some storms just teach you how to stand still, how to breathe through discomfort, how to not make things worse by panicking. And that's valuable. That's strength. But because we live in a world that celebrates speed, clarity, and immediate transformation, we start thinking we're failing if we don't get the message fast enough, like we're behind, like we're missing something everyone else already knows. But here's a plot twist. No one actually knows what they're doing. They're just better at looking confident while winging it. Behind closed doors, even the most put-together people are Googling their symptoms at 2 a.m., second-guessing their choices, or wondering if they've peaked emotionally in 2019. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just alive. And being alive means you're going to feel things that don't make sense. You're going to wake up some days with a strange heaviness for no reason. You're going to outgrow people you still love. You're going to lose parts of yourself that once defined you. And none of that needs to be fully understood in order to be real. See, the mind is great at post-game analysis. It wants to go back, replay everything, and make it all neat. But life isn't neat. It's muddy. It's strange. It's beautifully chaotic. And when you try to give it too much structure, you miss the magic. Because sometimes what you call chaos is just life doing things your logic can't predict. And if you always demand understanding before peace, you'll be waiting forever. You'll miss out on simple joys because you're too busy trying to unlock the meaning of every moment, like it's some encrypted spiritual code. You'll treat happiness like a prize at the end of a math equation instead of what it actually is: a moment, a breath, a laugh, a coffee that hits just right on a cold morning. And maybe the most powerful thing you can do is stop trying to figure out if you're on the right path. and instead, walk it. Fully, eyes open, hands unclenched, mind a little quieter than usual. Not because you understand it all, but because you trust that you don't have to. You don't need to understand everything. You're not supposed to, and that's not a flaw. It's part of the design. Let life confuse you a little. Let it bend your plans. Let it stretch your patience. You're not falling behind. You're unfolding, quietly, honestly, and in ways that might not make sense right now, but will echo later in ways you never expected. So, if this spoke to you, even in a small way, leave a comment below with just one word: surrender. No long explanation, no overthinking, just that one word. It'll be our quiet signal that you're choosing trust over control, presence over panic, and peace over perfection. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe and stay close. We're not here to figure everything out. We're here to walk through it together.